Yeah. Yeah, to be putting out that kind of cash outlay, you know what I
There's
mean?
always, there always seems to be something better to do. And it's
Yeah.
not something you can do in a weekend. Like, you got to use your holidays to do it. Because you,
Yeah.
like, you take 10 hours driving. You leave Friday. You're there at, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, what happens when we go to the coast? We get in there at 2 o'clock in the morning. You shoot the shit till 4, so you go to bed. You don't get up till 2 o'clock, so there's Saturday.
I had a lot to talk about. I just realized that all of my notes are on my phone, and I'm using my phone to record this. Okay. I'm really excited about this one. A while ago, let me start from the beginning. A lot of people don't know my dad was a writer all through the years. He wrote a lot. He wrote a lot of books. It all started with White Tape, his autobiography that he self-published, and that's what got made into Project Grizzly. And then from then on, he wrote with my uncle a lot, and he wrote a lot of books on his own. And I guess you could say like his specialty was, I always called it religious fantasy. Everybody enjoys like Greek mythology, Norse mythology, things like that. My dad wrote about, I don't want to call it Christian mythology, but basically about the Bible. God and the devil and the war between good and evil, and the Archangel Michael and things like that. And he wrote about those, about that for decades. But the last few years of his life, he really started branching out, and he got a lot better as a writer. And he sent out tons of short stories, like tons of them. He was writing one, it was called like 6 on 6 for 60, and it was about a game of hockey, and he was a huge hockey fan. That was really interesting. It was all like the greatest players, and I think he was doing some religious elements in that as well. It was a game between not necessarily good and evil, because the players on the bad side weren't bad. But previously, he'd written a book called The Man Trinity with my uncle, and it was a chess game between the God and the devil. And he kind of took some notes from that, and he made it a hockey game between the God and the devil, and they picked their hockey players, and so on and so forth. He wrote that. He was doing a book called The Tin Cup, which was going to be about the Holy Grail. But the purpose of this is he wrote The Ranger Station. Ranger Station was a short story that got published posthumously. And it was about him and his dad. It was real. It was not a work of fiction. It was him and his dad, and they were watching a very important hockey game with Canada playing. After he passed, I might even say it wrong, Existere Journal. They're here in Canada. They gave us an email and let us know that he was published. I had the exact issue that it was in. I was going to talk about that, but those notes are on my phone. So we got published in that, and that was amazing. And not too long ago, well, about last year, we were doing the Instagram and the social media, and I found Existere. I found them on Instagram, and I reached out, and I just said, hey, you published my father, and we just kind of started chatting, and I was speaking with a woman there, Alyssa, and they ended up getting back to me, and I had notes for this. I don't want to mispronounce people's names and things like that. Anyway, this woman, she's the manager there. She got back to me, And you know, they wanted some photos, they wanted a little story, they were going to do a little tribute. Well, that was last February. All that time's went by, they just messaged me again. And I guess they're restructuring the journal, and you know, he's going to be featured. As of right now, this is just in talk, so I don't know when we're going to post this video, or when it's going to go, or what they're going to do. But you know, shout out to Existere. I intend to submit some of my own work there. You know, we'll see. We'll see if it goes. I don't expect any handouts. You know, if anyone's familiar with the literary world, it's very, very difficult to get anything published. I'm so excited today. Oh my goodness, there's a lot to talk about. Just with that. Normally these videos are a little bit more serious. Today I'm actually coming in a good mood. This is going to be like, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but so we got some great things going on with my dad, and the books that he wrote, and you know, this is all about the legacy, and showing people that there was more than just the bear suits and the TV shows and the inventions. You know, he was a very good writer, and he really poured himself, you know, the last few years of his life into his writing. So this is huge to be able to show that. You know, one day I intend to get all those together and publish them, and of course maybe even rewrite some of them myself. There's a lot going on with that, but I'm not going to reveal anything about that story, the Ranger Station. And in this video, normally I do a little bit more of a vague description, but I'll let everyone know what issue it's from and things like that, because I definitely want people to read it. But you know, the story was about him and his father doing something they enjoyed, and that's what leads me to this next part. It's very Canadian today. We're always drinking some beers here. Today we're doing a Bose Lug Tread. These guys are in Van Cleek, Ontario. It's one of my favorite beers. Funny story about the Bose Lug Tread. I was at a restaurant here in town. One of the few times I went out with my mom and my dad. It was always tough to get them both out together. We used to go out all the time, but they like to smoke. They smoke their cigarettes, and if they can't smoke in the restaurant, you know, it was always very hard to get them to go out. My mother was always worse with that than my dad. But this is one of the rare times we all got out, and I opened up the menu. This was maybe 10 years ago, so I'm young, you know, early 20s. And I just see on the beers there, and it just says Lug Tread. And I always like stupid stuff and ambiguous names, and I said, you know what the hell? We're going to order one of these Lug Treads, and I did, and I really enjoyed it. And it all ties together with the Ranger Station and the writing and beers and these stories that we share. And these moments that we share as well. You know, my father had this moment with his father, and because of this, and I'm drinking this beer, and it just makes me think of this one dinner that we shared together. I'm doing a lug tread there. I don't want to say it was my Ranger Station, but of course, got me thinking about writing a story similar to what he got published. And you know, I think their submissions are open until January, so I'm certainly going to try my hand at that. I got a lot on the go right now, but I think I might be able to do something similar and hopefully hit those notes, because you know, it wasn't like anything that he'd ever written. There was so much more into it. We always joked that a lot of his writing was it was all gravy. You know, there was no meat and potatoes to it though. My father was a tremendous storyteller, so he would tell people the stories, and he would explain what his book was about, and he would have an audience. It was incredible. I remember once, I was a bit younger, I wasn't quite working with him yet, and we went out to dinner with some investors. I forget what the innovation was, but they'd come up from America, and we all went out to dinner, and like 45 minutes, he's just talking about God and the devil in this book that he's doing, and everybody was just like, what is this? Like, this sounds incredible. It sounded incredible. The writing wasn't, but man, what a story. He was a tremendous storyteller. You know, a lot of people don't know that. But with the Ranger Station, it seemed like it all really came together. And he was writing from his soul almost. And it wasn't very long, but I read it a while ago, and I was just like, holy, like my dad wrote this? It was exceptional. So I'm almost like I'm buzzing today. I'm buzzing. I'm just, there's so much on the go, and the last couple weeks for me, I've just they've just been better, you know. These videos, I never know what I'm gonna do when I do this. I don't normally put notes down. In the case of this one, I did have some notes that are on my phone, so we'll have to deal with that. But I like to kind of just get a feeling, and it all linked up. Like, I was cracking one of these open the other night, and Existere had messaged, and I was just like, look at this. This is bringing back memories. It's weird. Before I started doing this, I wouldn't think about my father like this. It's you know, when someone passes away or leaves, but generally when there's a death, you remember them in different ways, and sometimes it can be painful. And now, you know, maybe I should be happy that this is a thing, because I never thought about all these moments I had with my dad. Something as simple as cracking a can of beer. And speaking about alcohol, I got a funny little story here, because we're in a better mood today. As of right now, what is it? October 5th, we got a UFC going on tonight. I've always been a big fan of the UFC. My dad, certainly, as a martial artist, he enjoyed boxing, martial arts. He was a martial artist, so growing up, that was always a thing. But I have a great memory, and it's about drinking, because my dad didn't drink. So it all ties together. I think Conor McGregor was fighting, and we loved Conor. This is go back 10 years before he's kind of crazy now. But this is when he was just coming up. He was talking a lot of shit, and he was backing it up. And I think that this was when he fought Chad Mendes for the interim featherweight belt. And there was about a year and a half span where my dad got really into the UFC, like really into it. We were buying all the pay-per-views. My best friend was coming over. We were watching them. I remember there was a UFC in Singapore. I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning randomly. My dad rolled out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning. He goes, oh boy, are they fighting? And that was the Mark Hunt versus Bigfoot Silva fight, one of the best heavyweight fights ever. That was awesome. But this one, man, I have to say, and we're not going to get into Conor McGregor people, but for whatever reason, you just get invested. I was never a big sport guy, like sport teams, you know, like Pittsburgh Penguins is my dad's team, not as invested. But for whatever reason, we got really invested in the UFC, and at that point, man, I was so invested in Conor McGregor. So you're just at the edge of your seat. Like, there's nothing riding on this fight. It's irrelevant whether it happens or not. It doesn't change my life. For whatever reason, it really mattered to us, and I loved it. Like, your heart rate's just spiked, and we're all leaning forward. And you know, he's on the ground in the first round, and he's cut open, and then of course, you know, Conor gets the big KO. And again, my dad doesn't drink, so my buddy and I we're doing some beers and stuff. We got a bottle of scotch, Lagavulin. It's about $120, like Canadian. It's a good scotch. And I was doing scotch a lot at the time. We had the money, so I was just going crazy. We were buying all kinds. So we pull out this bottle of scotch, and my buddy and I, we pour it, and he just flies off the couch, my dad. And he goes, you know what, boy, pour me one. This dude doesn't drink. I saw him drink 2 beers my whole life. They were a Budweiser. Whiskey, anything like that, B-52s was his drink. If he was going to have any alcohol, that's Grand Marnier, Bailey's, Kahlua, and Grand Marnier, and they're layered. You do it like a shot, but he was just a menace, and he wouldn't know how to make them properly, so he'd pour them all together, and then it's not the same thing. If anyone's ever had a B-52, because it's layered, you get the Grand Marnier, and then you get the Kahlua and the Bailey's. It's delicious. Anyway, not a drinker. So he tells us, he goes, pour me a shot. And we're flying, everyone's hugging and stuff. It's like, you know, we were actually there. Like, oh man, Conor won, this is incredible. And we all do this shot. There it is, you know, salute, boom, on the table. And it almost took his throat out. It was so funny. Oh man, it almost put him on his ass. That was hilarious. It's like a 45% just scotch. Oh man. Just took it right out of him. And it all links back together. We're doing the lug tread, the UFC, Ranger Station, him and his father, and they had their troubles. And, you know, I had my problems with my dad as well. But damn, it's nice to have those kinds of memories and get excited about that. you know, I really, I had a video. It's not out yet, or it will be. I don't know when the videos are coming out, but I had a video where I'm talking about gratitude, being ungrateful, you know, life, whatever, never being enough, and that happens. And I don't want to say like I'm practicing gratitude right now, but last couple days, especially today, or last night rather, after that message, I feel really grateful, you know, because I definitely had my bad moments with my dad, and I still got my problems with him, but the fact that I can get excited about moments that I shared with my dad and my best friend and things like that, and it's like it can change my day and it can affect my mood. Like, I am grateful for that. It matters. It matters a lot, you know, especially because my dad and I weren't on good terms when he died. I didn't talk to him for weeks before we had like a final conversation and you know, final hug, and that was kind of my last memory of my dad. And it took a lot of years to be able to deal with anything. You know, there were times, I spoke about it before, where I have his library, I have his archival footage. I wanted to burn them. I just wanted to erase them. And I've done a complete 180 now to where I want to celebrate that legacy and show those good parts to the world. And before I get too serious, this is one of them. This is going to be a complete tonal shift. I think the last couple videos I've done before this have been, it gets a little serious sometimes. You don't normally see me smiling like this with these videos. I was excited to do this one all day. You know, I'm going to end these, I always do, and there's about 50 different points I wanted to hit on that I didn't, but it just feels good. Feels good. So, for the fans out there, you can go to Existere Journal. I'll put something in the description there, the specific issue that he was featured in. They're going to have some big things coming up soon on Troy Hergebes. It may have been one of his best pieces of writing, if not his best piece of writing. It did get published. It's from the heart. It's him and his dad. I loved it. I hope everyone that watches this goes out and reads it. You know, and hopefully there's a lot more to come in the future in regards to the writing that he put out there. I have almost all of it. Not all of it's good, but I do have all of it. And one day, you know, we're going to put it together and we're going to get it out there. People are going to be able to buy it and again just share in that legacy and see some of the things that he was interested in. It's been good. Normally I have something smart or witty or poignant to say at the end of it, but it's not one of those today. Just been feeling great with all of it lately, and this definitely feels like the right decision. The Instagram, I just wasn't ready for it. I enjoyed it, and I'm happy that that body of work is out there, but this feels more natural. You know, for those, I think we have 10 subscribers right now. To the 10 people that subscribe to this, I think we have something like 40 likes. Thank you. It means a lot to me that even one of you would want to hear me talk for 20 minutes. And, you know, hopefully as this thing grows to wherever it grows, the fans of my dad, maybe the fans of me, maybe the fans of the story, you guys, you know, everyone gets the full story and they can enjoy it and they can, you know, really see what he was all about. And hopefully what he left behind can affect some people. It seems like it did so far with a lot of things, so the more that I can share with the world, the better.